Now, by no means would I call myself a Luddite. I have plenty of power tools for taking care of our property. I've got a bush hog. I've actually made videos about that, a riding mower, power trimmer, etc. But sometimes, in some instances, I just prefer to use my old scythe. In terms of maintenance, taking care of a scythe is pretty straightforward. You will need a wrench for adjusting your blade and a stone for keeping it sharp. You can use a file if you end up with burrs. This blade's pretty clean. I don't feel any burrs on it. And all you do is a few swipes with the stone file, and I'll put a link to this in the description if you want to pick one of these guys up. I'll usually make 10 passes on either side to sharpen up my blade, and every couple seasons I'll come through with some oil and steel wool and get rid of the rust. You can see I'm getting a little bit of rust on here, and you'll end up with actually a pretty sharp blade, kind of like a knife blade. The other piece of maintenance is sometimes you need to remove your blade, and removing a scythe blade is really simple, and the new ones work this way, as do the old ones. They just have a nut here that you tighten or loosen, and around back there's a pretty cool adjustment on newer scythes and older ones. And you can see that this blade fits through this loop here and then can attach here, here, or here. Those will give you slightly different cutting angles. So if I move it over here, I'll have a slight adjustment, and if I move it down, I'll have a slight adjustment. You just have to sort of figure out your own blade stroke and the angle for your blade. I end up setting it up just like this and keeping it in place. But if you do want to replace blades or change out your blades, all you do is loosen this guy up right here and put on a different blade. And then in terms of adjustments on an older scythe, if you happen to pick one up at an estate sale or yard sale, they work pretty similarly. You've got your nut right here, and then on the back side you've got a couple different adjustments that work here, and this cam also slides, so you can definitely get a different angle. Let's talk about those blades real quick. On this metal scythe here, I've got a weed blade. Weed blade is broad. This is about 4 inches wide and short. And it's tough. You can take out weeds, small bushes, blackberry bushes, even small tree limbs with this guy. It's almost like a machete blade, just a lot finer and smoother. You'd be surprised, but cutting grass with this guy is a little bit of a chore. It's not the best. A grass blade, like I've got on this side, is just way superior for cutting grass. And you can imagine why. It is a good 8 to 10 inches longer. And that long blade just cuts grass so much more efficiently. And then this is just to show you that this weed blade that I've got on my newer aluminum scythe is not a new invention. This is an older scythe, probably 50, 60 years old, and it also has a weed blade, so it's a little bit heavier actually. So weed blades are available on your older scythes as well as your new ones. All right, one more thing to think about is your handle material. A lot of these newer scythes are aluminum, and I'll say there are a few virtues of that. One virtue is your hand positioning. I've never had any trouble with the positioning, the ergonomics on my aluminum scythe handle. It just feels really good. Now on some of these old wooden scythes, this is an actual piece of bent wood, so your hand positioning will be a little bit peculiar or unique to the scythe, and you'll have to, if you find one of these at an estate sale or at a yard sale or something like that, try it out, because you want to make sure that it's a scythe that really works for you. Not all of these are bent exactly the way you want them to be bent. And then the only other two things I would say about the handle material, wood is heavier than aluminum. Swinging a heavy blade is nice in terms of having more momentum when you're hitting your grass or your weeds, but it also tires you out more than an aluminum blade. The other thing to keep in mind with an aluminum blade is that this baby conducts electricity. So if you're going to be scything anywhere near extension cords in the grass or power lines, I would not want to use an aluminum handle. This guy will send that electric current up to your body and could really, really be dangerous. So you do not want to be using a metal handle like this around electric lines. One question I suppose I should answer is if I have a favorite scythe. This aluminum new scythe, I gotta say, is the one I use the most. It's got a weed blade on it and it's just handy. I will go to it to cut a little bit of grass or weeds along my ditches or along the side of my fields, and I just really like this aluminum handle. With that said, nothing can compare to this grass blade that I've got on this older scythe. And I've thought about getting a grass blade for my aluminum side, but I haven't done that yet. So whenever I'm cutting grass or wheat or just, you know, anything fine, any kind of haying or anything like that, I always use this grass blade. It is just a sweet, sweet blade. I should say that with this side, and you'll probably see this, I tend to actually hold it here and then I hold the end of it, and that just feels good to me. I could move this handle down, but I just like that feeling of holding the end of the scythe. So there are definitely some peculiar ways you can work a scythe and to be comfortable. And then the last thing I'll say about scything, and I think you can probably see that here, is that the stroke really matters. You don't want to just whack and chop at your weeds. If you're whacking and chopping at your weeds, you're going to tire yourself out so fast. So don't do this. Don't whack, chop, and flail at your weeds. Instead, the way to work a scythe is to develop a really even rhythm. Use your body twist more than your arms. If you're yanking at the scythe with your arms, you're going to tire yourself out. Try to use your body twist and give yourself some time. Over time, you will develop a really nice rhythm with your scythe. So I really hope more people will go out and buy a scythe. You can get them so cheap at garage sales, on Craigslist, etc. Even the new ones don't cost too much. Hit me with a thumbs up if you liked the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more videos of this kind.